Hi friends, this is Selujang here. Welcome to my networking channel. Hope all are doing good. And today the topic I'm going to discuss about how to create a redundant interface in a Fortigate firewall. So before that, let us understand the difference between aggregate and the redundant interface in a Fortigate firewall. So aggregate, I already told, it is a link bundling multiple physical interfaces into a single logical link. This is mainly for increasing the bandwidth, and also we can use for a link failover mechanism. Similar way, redundant interface also, I am going to use two interfaces between firewall 1 and 2, that is port 1 and port 3. So only difference is whenever the physical one interface goes down, I can use other interface for a traffic flow between the source and the destination. So that is the purpose of redundancy. Also, we can call this as a link redundancy. If a single link goes on, still the traffic will be there between the source and the destination part. So that is the purpose of creating a redundant interface in a FortiGate firewall. So this I'm going to use a very simple architecture. I have connected firewall 1 and 2, and between these I have connected two physical interfaces, port 1 and port 3, and I'm going to configure this as a redundant interface. And to the firewall 1 and 2, to port 2 I have connected to the GNS3 cloud. This is mainly for accessing the GUI of firewall 1 and 2. So in this particular configuration, I'm going to show you how to configure a redundant interface through a GUI. So prior to the configuration, first let us configure the GUI interface, that is port 2 for the firewall 1 and 2. Then through the GUI part, I will show you how to configure a redundant interface. Okay. So let us now configure the GUI interface, that is port 2. The first IP is 84.50 and the second IP is 84.51. This is 84.51, this is 84.50 on port 2. And since I'm going to access via GUI, I allowed access HTTP and HTTPS. So let us copy this and paste it on my first firewall. Okay, let us log in with the credentials and paste it on the first firewall. Similar way, let us go to the second firewall. The IP is 84.51 on port 2. Set allow access HTTP is for accessing the GUI, right? So copy it and paste it on the second firewall. Okay, just paste it. So now what I'm going to do, let us open the Chrome browser and I'm going to show you how to configure the redundant interface. Okay, just let us click the Chrome browser. And now let us access the first interface, first firewall, that is 84.50. Okay, so 192.168.84.50. Just log in with the credentials. Similar way, let us go to the second firewall, that is 192.168.84.51. So it will prompt for the username and the password. So log in with the credentials. Okay, so now let us go to the interface and I'm going to configure the redundant interface. And the redundant interface, I will configure port 1 and port 3. Okay, it's very simple. Just go to network, click interfaces. Okay, and just click port 1 and port 3. I'm going to configure as a redundant interface. Okay, just click port 1 and now let us change this to manual mode. Click OK. And now create new interface and change this type as a redundant interface. Normally for a aggregate we'll do aggregate interface. Since I'm configuring this as a redundant interface, click redundant interface and just add the name as redundant. REDUNDANT, redundant interface. And the what are the interface members, that is port 1 and port 3 I'm going to configure, right? So the interface members are port 1 and port 3. Just enable the IP 192.168.1.1/24. Okay, and enable the ping access. Just click OK. Okay, so we can check there is a redundant interface and the interface added is port 1 and port 3 and the IP is 1.1. Similar way, let us configure the other end. That's the reason you are able to see the interface not coming up. So now let us go to the firewall 2, click network interfaces and just click port 1 and check the mode. Let us change it to manual mode. Okay, first. Now let us create the redundant interface. Just go to create new interface and the type is redundant interface. Give the name as redundant, 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 and the interface members are port 1 and port 3. Okay, so now let us change the IP as 1.2. This IP is 1.2. It's more or less like aggregate interface what we are configuring, right? 1.2. In aggregate, what we'll do, we'll bundle the multiple interface in a single link. So in case of aggregate, the traffic will flow in both the interfaces, right? It's a combined increased bandwidth. But in case of redundant interface, the traffic will flow in one of the interface. So that is the purpose of redundancy. Mainly we use for a link redundancy. So in case of a single interface or single link goes down, automatically the traffic will flow via other link, right? So that is the purpose of redundancy. So now let us go to the second thing, 1.2/24, and just enable the ping access, just click OK. So now we have configured the redundant configuration, and now let us refresh the firewall 1 and 2 and let us check whether the redundant interface came up. Just refresh the page. So now you're able to see redundant interface port 1 and port 3 came up, and now let us go to port 2 and let us refresh the page. So firewall 1 and 2, the redundancy we have successfully configured, and the IPs 1.1 and 1.2. So how we can check? Let us do a ping from firewall 1 to this particular interface. Okay. So let us now view the interface what we have configured. Show system interface redundant. Okay, this is the interface you configure. In case of aggregate, we'll configure as set type as aggregate. Here it is set type as redundant, and set the member interfaces port 1 and port 3. This is the only change we are doing for redundant interface. And similar way, let us go to the firewall to show system interface redundant. You are able to see, right, redundant, and the file member is port 1 and port 3. Now let us do a basic ping from firewall 1 to firewall 2 to check the connectivity. Okay, execute ping 192.168.1.2. I am able to reach. Similar way from firewall 2 do execute ping 192.168.1.1. So I am able to successfully reach. And how to check the redundant link status between firewall 1 and 2? The similar command what use for aggregate we have to use for redundancy also. The command is diagnose netlink, okay, redundant. Instead of aggregate, you have to do netlink redundant, and we have to give the name redundant. Okay, and just click enter. You are able to see there are two ports what you configure. There is port 1 and port 3, and both this interface are showing up. That what we call the slave, that is port 1 and port 3 is up, and you are able to see the status is up. You are able to see, right? Similar way, let us copy this and paste it on my second firewall to check the status. So you're able to see slave port 1 and port 3, and the status is up, and here also the status is up, redundant link status is up. And now what we can check is, for checking the link redundancy, let us shut down this either of this interface. Let us shut this port 3 interface and let us check the status whether I'm able to ping between the firewall 1 and 2, and also let us check the link status also, right? So how to down the first interface, port 3 I'm going to shut down. Okay, so let us go to firewall 1, config system interface, edit port 3, and set the interfaces. So the command you have to do is set link down, I think. So the command is set status down. So this will disable the interface. So now I have disabled the port 3 interface. Similar way, let us go to the firewall 2. Okay, so config system interface, edit port 3. Just I am disabling this interface port 3. Okay, and set status as down. So this will disable the port 3. And now let us check the status. Just do diagnose netlink redundant name, and you are able to see, right, port 3 is down, so this is up. So still you can see the statistics. Let us go to the second firewall. Just copy this, diagnose netlink redundant name is redundant. Okay, just copy this and paste it on my second firewall. You are able to see the link is up, link status is still showing up. Even though I have shut down on the interface, still the traffic is flow between the firewall 1 and 2. And let us do a ping also. Execute ping 192.168.1.2, and let us check here. Execute ping, so 192.168.1.1. So I'm able to ping. How about the status from the GUI part? Let us now click the interfaces and see the redundancy. So even though the port 3 were able to see the down, still the redundant link is up. That means still the traffic is flowing between port 1 between firewall 1 and 2. So now you're able to see mainly it is used for a link redundancy, right? So and you are able to see port 1 is up and second firewall also still the redundant link is up. So that is the main purpose of redundancy. And the difference between the link aggregation is nothing but combining or bundling multiple link into a single logical link, and is mainly for increased bandwidth. And also in case of link aggregation, we can do link failover also. If one interface go down, automatically the traffic will switch over to the second link. But in case of redundant interface, it is mainly used for link redundancy. So we can use two interfaces between firewall 1 and 2, but the traffic always flow in either one of the interface. Okay. So whenever the one interface goes on, automatically we can use other interface for a failover, right? That is the purpose of redundancy in case of a Fortigate. It is mainly for used for a link failover, right? So that is a link failover. Also we can call it as a link redundancy. And I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos. Thanks and have a wonderful day. Thank you.